Welcome to the 7th episode of our 8-episode SWAPCAST for Map It Forward. This is our second last episode for 2021 for both of our podcasts, Sara. I cannot believe that we're finally gotten to the last two episodes.
Wow. Yeah.
But the end of 2021 has happened so quickly. You've got a massive year ahead for 2022. How are you feeling about all of that?
Actually, me too. I cannot believe that we already, like 2020 and 2021 already gone, and we're now on 2022. I'm looking forward to it. Now I have clear understanding of what I want to do, and I'm more confident. And I feel like this is the moment where I'm ready to start.
Yeah. A lot of people do it the other way around to you. And so, in this series of 8 episodes, we've been talking about how you've gotten to this point over 2020 and 2021 to get that cafe ready for opening at the beginning of January. And there were a lot of delays, and there were, some delays that most delays you couldn't control, a couple of them that you could, but it's, opening a cafe in the middle of a pandemic, but opening it properly is a huge ask. As massive labor shortages around the world, shipping issues, logistical nightmares, pandemic, all of it, right?
Yeah.
And so in this episode, we're going to talk about how you hire a team. In the middle of all of that, and how you hire a team as elegantly as you did. You didn't just aim to get anybody. You wanted the best possible team available to you, and you've got it. So before we get started, this episode is brought to you by Map It Forward Consulting. If you are looking for consulting services to help launch your business or grow your business in 2022, consider getting in touch with us. So, Sara, talk to us about your hiring plan. There are a number of different steps. Let's start with what the 4 different steps were to hiring.
Okay, so the first thing we had in mind is that we don't want just to fill positions.
Yes.
So, and we also had in mind our mission, like celebrating people. So we wanted to implement that in the hiring process.
Yeah.
From the first step, which is advertising for the position, we had that in mind. And I'm so happy that we really nailed it.
Yeah, you
did. It was like the idea also where I'm respecting people. I have it in English and Arabic.
Yep.
And also it's the idea of that, like the name that is both in English and Arabic has a meaning. So it all was reflected in the ads for the positions. So we had also our values. It's clarity and purpose. So it's all, you can read it through the lines. And people told me that, like they were talking about it for days and days. I'm so proud of it. And we had specific instructions in the ads that will give us an indication who should go to the first round of interviews. So people, and we stated that in the ad. So people who follow the instruction, we will open the CV.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And people who did not, so that's it, khalas, it's there. So it's clear that they didn't take the time to read the job description and what is and the instructions. So for the first step, we want to make sure that people follow instructions.
That was very important to you. You had made it very clear that you wanted people who could follow instruction and had attention to detail. And so what we decided to do was build that into the very first step of the hiring process. So what did we do?
And we also wanted to be fun, صح?
Right.
So for each position, we had a word that they have to attach to the title of the email or the subject of the email. So like we had coconut for the barista and the what's the other one?
The host. There was
pineapple. Pineapple for the cashier, and we had the Ferraris for the host, and we had also the diamonds for the operations manager. Right. So this is the first. It helps also in screening. So the first step, we were screening for people who followed instructions. So the moment I see the subject, I know what they're applying for.
Right. And so just to be clear with everyone, when we wrote the description of the advertisement on Instagram, so that was the place where we advertised, right? And at the beginning of the ad, we said, please make sure that you read to the end of this post for instructions in how to apply for this. And so immediately we had set that standard of being able to filter out for one very, very important non-negotiable for employees. If you can't follow instructions, you're not a fit for that. And so if you applied for the job and didn't put coconuts in the subject, which was the word that we wanted you to put in the subject if you were applying for the barista job, if you didn't have the word coconuts there, even if Sara knew that this was somebody who she had hoped would apply for the job, and they did, but they didn't put coconuts in the subject, too bad.
Yeah.
Sara didn't even open.
It was too bad.
Yeah.
I had to resist the urge to open the email because I know that person. But they didn't follow the instructions.
And I was ruthless with you at the time. I was like, no, they don't even get considered for it because we've set these boundaries. I mean, this is about culture, right? It goes back to culture and why setting culture and boundaries is important. If we're going to set these standards and then we're going to betray our own standards, well, we can't be upset when the staff that we hire end up betraying those standards as well, right? So when we had those conversations, it was like I could see how hard it was for you, but this person's going to be really great. And even knowing that I'm not going to open the email. So it was tough.
And then we have like the steps, round 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. So we had questions. We had like a bunch of questions about the things that we want to know about these people. Yeah. And we had them categorized in a certain way. So in the first round, we are looking for people who make sense. So it's like common sense. The questions...
Which is not so common in our industry, right? Like it's a real problem, particularly for work safety, if you have someone in the work environment that doesn't have common sense. And a lot of the time, in 20 years in this industry, the one thing that I hear every employer that I've ever worked for say, why is it so hard to find people that don't have that have common sense? There's a saying in our industry, common sense is not so common.
Yeah.
And
it is.
It's so true.
So we had like the first screening in round 1 is do you have common sense? And then in the second round, people who moved on to second round, we were looking for professionalism and personality.
Right.
And I also, there's one thing we should mention that we are not looking for experience. And this was shocking for many people. They wanted to tell me how good they are and how long they've been working in the industry. And I was like, I'm looking for specific things.
Yeah. And you were very clear about it. You were very clear that in every one of the ads, no matter what the position was, you were looking for specific skills rather than specific experience.
Yeah.
And
so that's in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
Professionalism and personality. Then in round 3, So people who moved on to round 3, we were asking specific questions that we know that they're a good fit for that.
Mm-hmm. And we were looking to see if they were aligned with our culture and they were aligned from a life perspective, if their situation was aligned with what we needed. So it's more about the specifics of, are they available for full-time or part-time? Are they Saudi nationals or not? Because there's specific local rules. Because by the time we got past round 2, we knew whether these were people we wanted to hire or not. Now we needed to know if it was a good fit and if their life circumstances fit with our needs as a company. And would you say that it worked?
It did work. And we invested a lot of time in it. And I think it's worth it. And the other thing that I want to add also, that we made sure that we implement our values there. So people will go in and out with dignity, respect, gratitude, empowerment, and rest
and
as well.
Yeah. You know what really impressed me was the succinctness. You know, we had a clear plan of how every interview would go. The interviewees had a clear understanding of how it was going to go, and it wasn't difficult to make the decisions at the end of every one of them. Not at all, because we were aligned with our values and we were aligned with the clear understanding of what we had advertised. And so whenever it came to, but this person this and that person that, we would always bring it back to exactly what we're looking for, which made it really easy to make decisions.
Yeah, it's a good place to state now, like what exactly it was for me when I told you they all share the pain, the same pain. Like I can feel that each one of them has suffered a lot in their previous jobs.
That was really evident. To give people a bit of context, each of the rounds, so that round 1 and round 2 happened via Zoom, and there were specific questions that were asked in round 1, and everybody got the same questions. Sara didn't deviate from the script at all. And that happened in round 1 and in round 2. Both of them happened via Zoom. They were recorded, and afterwards, because of the time difference, Sara and I would watch them together and have discussions around them. And then round 3, those interviews happened in person, and I attended live via Zoom. 2 things that you commented about at the time, Sara, was that you could feel the pain points, that every single person that you spoke with shared similar pain points about the way that they had previously been treated in toxic environments within the workplace.
Yeah. All of them.
All of them, 100%.
Even from the first round. Yeah.
Yep. And you know what I found interesting? And this was the first time I had ever experienced this. And I've been through many hiring processes, both when I was working in the coffee industry and, head barista, as well as with all of the clients that I've worked with. I've helped many people hire teams. This is the first time that we went through hiring and only one person out of everybody that we interviewed, only one person asked about money. You remember of course you remember, but what was the main thread that everybody wanted to know about?
Their growth. Like, what are we, really how we are investing in their growth, and the growth strategy that we had in that for the team and for that as a company.
It really surprised me because, we're in the middle of a global labor shortage, and the labor shortage in Saudi existed before the pandemic. in our industry, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for you to get, you got, was it 45 applicants?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is huge. I mean, that's a huge number for a labor shortage. And
these are the people who followed the instructions.
The instructions.
Yeah. Some of them, like, yeah.
They're the ones whose emails you actually opened.
Yeah.
And I mean, to watch each of those interviews and hear the same question again and again, I was so surprised when one after the other, and this was where the pain became apparent, right? Was they weren't asking you, how much are you going to pay me? They were saying, what's your growth strategy for that? What's your growth plan for me? And it was like, wow, this is a new era. The pandemic really has affected the way that people want to spend their time at work. They no longer just want to come to work to get paid. Sure, they want to get paid, but they're looking for more than just pay at work now, right? Yeah. It's very
and the
different.
other thing as well, like, it wasn't like I'm the boss and asking them the questions. It was like a conversation that they had the chance to ask, and also I had the chance to ask.
Yeah. Of all the hiring processes I've been a part of, I got to tell you, this one humbled me incredibly, because I really see that we're birthing into a new era in the coffee industry, which has been a long time coming. And as we move into 2022, there's going to be a sorting process of sorts that I think that the labor market is going to determine. And what I mean by that is that as businesses struggle to find employees, we're going to see more and more businesses go out of business even when they're successful. You know, there's only so much time you can stay open if nobody wants to work for you. And it may not even be that you're terrible to work for. It's just that there are better employers out there and there's a labor shortage, so they're going to go and work for the better employers. And so as we make this shift to people wanting to work for people like you, people who are intentional about the growth plan that they have for each of their staff, and not only are you talking about it, you can demonstrate it. This is what I think is going to be the cafe owner of the future, the roastery owner of the future, and you're not going to be able to fake it anymore. It's really, really humbling and inspiring. So, yeah.
It was a journey. Like, the hiring process was one of the journeys that we had inside that journey. And it was so, like, I had a lot of fun and joy, and like, to see these people and talk to them and make the decision, like, okay, these people who will be with us in that. And it wasn't difficult. Like, I thought it's going to be very difficult for me to decide, like, who's going to be a good fit, but it was so obvious.
I have to say something there. The reason it was so obvious wasn't because of you or wasn't because of the applicants. It wasn't because of the building. It wasn't because of the culture. It wasn't because of the values. It wasn't because of the mission. It wasn't because of the vision. It was because of all of it.
Yeah.
It all has to come together. And it, I mean, at this late stage of the business coming together, it's because of all the work that you've done over the last year that this is now the point. Like, the hard work has happened. This is now the easy hard work. This is now where you can enjoy the fruits of the hard work that you've invested into building this business. And it was, I mean, watching you have these conversations with people, it was like me watching people meet and know that they were going to go on a journey together that was going to enrich their future. I'm getting emotional thinking about particularly the in-person discussions that I got to witness, there were some moments there when you could see that people had finally found possibly the last person they're ever going to work for before they open their own business. And they knew it and you knew it. And it was very special, very, very special to be a part of.
Yeah, it was.
And we have one episode to go before the end of the year. So you're going to sign off on this one.
وفي نهاية حلقتنا أتمنى لكم يوم جميل سعيد وقهوة ممتعة.